Welcome back to Race Report, everyone. We have just finished the Mexico Grand Prix, and boy, wasn't the atmosphere there amazing. Oh, I can't believe how much we've missed going to Mexico. The fans in that place make it amazing. Of course, we had hometown hero Sergio Perez in a Red Bull, fighting potentially for a win in this race as well, which made it all much more sweeter. Let's get stuck straight into how things went down. Coming into the race, the championship battle is going down to the wire. Verstappen came into the race with a 12-point lead over Hamilton in the driver's standings, and Mercedes were 23 points clear in the Constructors' Championship as well. We're also in that point of the season now where we're starting to see a lot of engine penalties come into effect all across the grid. Didn't affect our front runners, thankfully, they've already taken theirs, but we did see Tsunoda, Stroll, Ocon and Norris all fall to the back of the grid. We also saw Russell get a 5-place penalty, all for engine changes. It's a bit ridiculous at this point. The feel for the race was a little bit different. It's our first high altitude race of the season, so we had less downforce on the cars, we had harder working turbos and a harder time cooling the cars as well, due to the thinner air up at high altitude. So we saw different reactions from each of the teams on how best to manage those problems. A little bit interesting if you're into that sort of thing. When it came to qualifying, it was a fairly standard qualifying, to be honest, all apart from one incident, and that was right at the start of Q1 where we had a red flag as Stroll had a big shunt where he went into the barriers coming out the final corner. Stroll was alright and it didn't really affect things too badly. There's still plenty of time left in the session and Stroll was always going to be at the back of the grid due to his engine penalty anyway. I think the only people it really affected were the mechanics who had to rebuild his car overnight. They did a great job there. The main shock in Q1 was Alonso going out. It's very rare we see Alonso go out in Q1 these days, so that was a big surprise. Another big surprise for most people was when it came down to the end result of qualifying. Bottas qualified on pole ahead of Hamilton, with Verstappen back in third. A lot of people assumed after the practice running that the Honda engines were dealing better with the high altitude, better than the Mercedes, so we expected Red Bulls to be qualifying on pole. However, that's not what we got. There was a little bit of a question whether Verstappen's final run was affected by first Tsunoda going off, which then affected Perez, who also went off, and then Verstappen came up behind them. Personally, I don't think his run was great up until that point anyway, probably not pole worthy, but it definitely would have affected him on that run. But anyway, coming into the race, so we had Bottas on pole, Hamilton second and Verstappen in third. And everybody got away cleanly, but it is a long run down to that first corner. Verstappen managed to get a really good slipstream. He moved to the outside and took the lead round the outside. Brilliant move from Verstappen. But then there's contact up and down the field. First we have Ricciardo tagging Bottas, who spins him 180. Bottas is now facing the field. That's always a scary position to be in. Ricciardo just broke too late for the corner. He lost his front wing as a result of that. Ocon hit both Tsunoda and Schumacher. He was in a sandwich with those two. Tagged one on the inside, tagged one on the outside. They're both out. Ocon actually surprisingly continues. Bottas and Ricciardo both also continue as well. They both obviously have to pit Ricciardo for a new nose. They both go on to the harder tyre as well. At the time we thought maybe they'll go to the end of the race on those hard tyres. However, as we'll see as this plays out, that was not the case. Those incidents on the first corner bring out the safety car on lap 1, which gives us a little bit of a breather, a bit of time to digest the incident that's just happened. But ultimately our top 3 at this point is Verstappen in first, Hamilton in second, and Perez is promoted to 3rd place. Giovinazzi actually seems to be the big winner out of all the chaos, leaping up to 6th place in Alfa Romeo. That's a big win. No massive changes as we're released from the safety car, everybody gets away well, no real changes there. And we start seeing cars pitting one by one after lap 13. They're taking off their mediums, they're going onto the hards, and they're going to try and run to the end. Because Bottas and Ricciardo have already pitted for those hard tyres, they're actually gaining places by these cars pitting as well. And they're fighting each other the whole time. Ricciardo in front of Bottas, and they're rising through the ranks slowly, having a consistent fight lap after lap. It wasn't until lap 30 that Hamilton actually came in for his hard tyres. Perez was catching him a little bit each lap at that point, but then Red Bull said, hey, do the opposite to Hamilton. So with Hamilton coming in, Perez stayed out. When Hamilton came out of the pits, he was actually in 5th behind Leclerc, but very good of Ferrari and Leclerc, he comes in almost immediately, releasing Hamilton. Hamilton, he goes hammer time, and he goes very, very quickly and forces the Red Bulls to pit as a result. Verstappen comes in on lap 34 for his stop, so he can stay out in front of Hamilton. This means Perez is leading the Mexican Grand Prix at his home race. What a special moment for him, that's brilliant. We see another flurry of pit stops. Ricciardo makes his second stop on lap 40 for another set of mediums. Bit of a surprise at the time, like I said, we thought the hard tyres were going to go to the end. Clearly McLaren didn't agree with that assessment, and they decided to bring him in. He came out in 13th place, and that finally released Bottas after their consistent fight as well. Perez finally comes in a lap later on lap 41, and he does come out in 3rd behind Hamilton. Those laps Hamilton put in early on those hard tyres really worked out for him. Mercedes also decided to pull Bottas in to do the same as Ricciardo, pit for more medium tyres. However, he has a slow stop, 12 seconds. That drops him down to 15th and probably brands him as the unluckiest driver. He gets tipped round 180 through no fault of his own. He gets a slow stop, 12 seconds in the pit box, no fault of his own. What a shame for Bottas. Toward the end of the race, the fun for us came from Perez hunting down Hamilton. The gap was 9 seconds at one point, and Perez managed to get it down to 1 second and sit behind Hamilton, trying what he can do for the last 5 or so laps. It was really, really good to watch. There was a bit of tactics in play from Mercedes as well. They pitted Bottas. Obviously, he's out of the points, he's out of the race, he's not doing anything. They pitted him for soft tyres so he can steal the fastest lap from Verstappen. However, this didn't work out because on Bottas's fast lap, he had to overtake, he had to unlap himself by going past Verstappen. That completely ruined the lap. So he then had to pit again to get another set of tyres to do another fastest time. He did eventually get it the second time, and he did take that 1 point, maybe crucial in the championship, take that 1 point away from Verstappen. But that doesn't dampen the Red Bull spirits though. Verstappen wins a very dominant race for Red Bull, and he extends his championship lead to 19 points over Hamilton, who comes over in second. He did a good job defending from Perez and did some good damage limitation, honestly. Perez came home in 3rd in the end, the first Mexican driver to be on the podium in Mexico. Special moment for him, and he loved it by the looks of it. It was brilliant. And that 1st and 3rd means that Mercedes only lead the Constructors' Championship by 1 point now, going into the final few races. This is crazy tight, tighter than we've seen it in many, many years. What a fight we are witnessing right now. Cannot wait for the rest of these races, I really can't. When it comes to driver of the day, it's a bit of a toss-up, to be honest. There wasn't a lot of action to, really sway me one way or another. Of course, Verstappen's out there winning the race in dominant fashion. That's got to be factored in. His move going into turn 1 was brilliant. It's exactly what he needed to do. He executed it and just drove the perfect race. That's got to be factored in. Of course, Perez doing his side of solid as well. Brilliant 3rd place, nearly 2nd place. I mean, Hamilton had to drive very well to keep him behind. And also there was Pierre Gasly. We didn't see anything really of him. He was just tootling along in a world of his own. 4th place for Pierre Gasly. That's a brilliant result. And, we've not seen the AlphaTauris doing especially well in recent times. So him getting that result is fantastic. So, yeah, he's done very well as well. At the end of the day though, I think I'm going to go with the hopeless romantic option. Driver of the day, Sergio Perez, at home, taking third place, first Mexican driver to be on the podium in Mexico. That sounds about right, doesn't it? What did you guys think of the race? And what do you think it means for the championship going forward? Is that Verstappen over the hill now? Has he effectively won it? Or do you think Hamilton can come back into this? Let me know in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one.